Okay, this bag has so much stuff in it. This is the miscellaneous bag, and this is the stuff that there's things in that I had that I'm like, oh, I'm glad I had it, but I wouldn't change what I brought, but it's like some things I didn't necessarily need all of it. I still have these, but I brought extra food, like just in case. I think I brought 3, and I did end up eating 1, but it was just good to have as a backup. But I didn't actually end up using them all, and I kind of forgot that I had them. I was very concerned before I went on my trip that I was like, I'm not gonna have access to medicine that I know and familiar with, and so I really made sure that I brought Pepto-Bismol, like in tablet form, and for nausea, diarrhea, that sort of thing. I didn't end up having to use it, which I'm so grateful for, but this gave me a peace of mind. I didn't end up using it, and if I could go back, I would still 100% bring this. I brought so much Miralax on my trip, like 20 packets of these. I finished, I used them, but it's like partway through I didn't really need them anymore, but I definitely needed them at the beginning, but they took up a bit of space, and I was like, I don't know what things are gonna be at the pharmacy, but I brought a lot, I think hindsight's 2020. I might have not brought 20, but maybe like 10. Yeah, the ones that I used. I brought some other medications. Yeah, which I think it was good to have. Like, for instance, this is like for yeast infection, stuff like that. And the box itself kind of takes up a lot, but I did want the box so I could reference it. I did end up giving one of the sheets to a fellow traveler, so that was really nice to have. And then allergy medication that I brought, it came in a bottle, so I put it in a Ziploc bag, which was, to me, took up less space. I definitely used this, and I'm glad I brought that. And then I brought a first aid kit, which I'm really glad I didn't end up needing, but things like Band-Aids, would I bring this again? I mean, it doesn't take up a lot of space, so yes, I would still bring this. And then, I brought my bathing suit. I brought my bathing suit, my goggles, my swim cap. It doesn't take up too much if you think of it comparing to the size of the towel. I've been in situations where I didn't have my bathing suit and I was like, oh, I wish I had my bathing suit. So I think I would still have my bathing suit, but maybe not the goggles and the swim cap. I don't know. I never used it. There was never really the opportunity to do so. And then everything else in here is, I brought melatonin gummies that I thought, it's such a small amount. It's, and really the going through all the things that I brought, and I even though I didn't use it, it's sort of like, okay, what are things that that you, in terms, if specific scenarios that you would rather have this thing than not have it, and if you can bring it in a very small quantity, that just to get you through, I think that's important to think about when you're packing for your trip. So, I brought this little bag, and it gave me a peace of mind. I didn't end up needing it on the trip, so that's something to be aware of. Yeah, because I think I brought this thinking like, oh, I'll need this to help with my jet lag and adjust to sleep, but I just never thought to take it. And most days I was by the time, a week or 2, my jet lag had resolved, I was just like, yeah, every day I'd just be tired and fall asleep. Yeah. And then I put some souvenirs in here. So I had bought some tea. So that is what also this little area was used for. A pen, and then I used to have, this was full of granola bars that I had brought on the trip. So I actually ate all the granola bars except one I kept as a backup, but it was like, I brought a few bars on the trip, and I'm glad I did end up eating them. So I did make a point to eat them too. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm just gonna have 15 bars as a backup sort of thing. Like, I made sure to go through them. And then also in my suitcase, I had this little organizer as for like binder clips, and like some rope specifically for for the sheet, to if I wanted to clip the sheet specifically to something on the bed or tie something on the bed, which I never ended up using the rope itself, but I did use the clips at some point. I ended up using the binder clips more for food, which was really interesting, and I would just tuck the sheet underneath the bed. Okay. And then, a recyclable bag. Yeah, I had this, I would say having some sort of like recyclable bag or strong bag that you could fold up and toss in, but if you needed it in a hitch, you could put a bunch of stuff in it. And so I didn't end up using this all too much because I ended up using a different bag throughout my trip, but it was great to have just in case. And then, okay, so let's come back. All right, so I'm looking at, so this bag served me a lot. This was my bag for electronics. So things like chargers, cables, like a battery charger, I kept them in its own section, and this went with me. It was just very accessible. Right. And then other things in this bag, just to go over. So that was everything that I just went over was in this main compartment. And then in this other compartment, I would keep my laptop in here. Oh, I would keep my journal. So I brought a big journal with me on my trip. I love how many pages it has. But I brought a pair of flip-flops. Flip-flops are crucial to keep your feet clean, especially being in bathrooms. So I brought a pair of flip-flops, and they served me so well. And I'm so glad I had them. And then I did buy a journal from India, which I really liked. But this would be where I would keep my laptop, some papers. I would store some like plastic bags as well. I would collect them because while traveling, plastic bags were really, you never know when you needed a garbage bag, essentially. And then I bought some tea as well. Okay. And then this compartment, I would just have, it was also sort of miscellaneous, a neck pillow, some silverware, plastic silverware, and definitely lotion. Oh yes, yeah. This for sure. I loved having a lotion that was really compact and just this size was perfect, and so I really liked this style of stuff. I did also bring a little bag like this, and the purpose that this served was just sort of like have something really accessible. And I would sometimes use this sort of like as like a crossbody bag, and it was great. And sometimes I would put it in here as well to help serve as an organizer. But the difference between this and something like this is this is weird to bring out in public, but this I could actually, it was versatile in that way. This was another battery charger, which I had two. I ended up only using the one, but it was just nice to have a backup if I needed to. Definitely a watch. Bring a watch on your trip. It's so helpful. It was nice when I would change time zones, first coming back, just to know what time it was where I had come from, just to recognize, oh, okay, I'm really tired because, oh, this is the time, or just, it was nice. Sometimes it's not always convenient to like look at your phone. It's nice having it accessible, even if you don't want to wear it, attaching it to your bag or something like that. This was my money belt. I love this thing. It's got 2 pockets. I highly recommend it for anyone like traveling. It's just so useful. One pocket specifically for my phone, and then the other pockets for like money or whatever you find crucial. And so I would usually keep a pen in here, a pen, cash, and then my travel credit card, and then these headphones. So I would keep my Bluetooth headphones in here as just a way. They were always on me. Oh, and a chapstick as well. They're just things that I always wanted, highly accessible, that were important as well. If I ever went to a hotel and they had give me a key card or like a key to my locker, I would always stick it in this pocket, and this pocket specifically for the phone, so that if I'm getting things in and out my phone, that I wouldn't accidentally, something important would slip out. I brought 2 bottles with me on my trip. They serve 2 different purposes. One was specifically for water, and this one was specifically for hot beverages. So like for tea, if you drink coffee, you could, make your own coffee and things. But this, I loved having this, and it's, there's a lot of loose leaf tea in India, or just in general. And so, I don't have it actually, but there you can buy a thermos that has a specific, those things that filter the tea. Yeah, but I was so glad I brought these 2 water bottles, and I didn't end up losing them. It was so great. This is my adventure bag. Yeah, so I definitely recommend having like a day bag, where you just, like a day bag in terms of, like when you go out and do activities. So it's not, like for me, I had concerns that like the size of this bag would be too large, and I would just like, I'm gonna look like a tourist, which I did, but it was fine. It really was fine. I thought I needed to bring something more discreet, like black, smaller in size, but it honestly was so fine to bring this bag. Like, yes, I stood out, but I personally didn't have any negative experiences standing out in that way. I feel like even without the bag, I probably stood out in a different way, So in this bag, this was the bag that I would keep my water bottle in it, my journal, and just like anything that I would need for the day. Sometimes food, snacks, or if I would go out and buy things, it was just nice being able to have the space to put it in my backpack rather than like have to carry a whole bunch of things in my hands. But definitely I would bring toilet paper with you when you travel, 100%, because especially in India, Nepal, their different culture, not always toilet paper is available, that sort of thing, and if you need that, I would bring it. And then sometimes, just some random things, hand sanitizer just in case, if I really liked having this for myself. And then I always brought with me a flashlight. I think that's something that I'm really glad I brought this with me, because one time I did rent a bike, and it was starting to get a little bit later, the sun was setting, and I was able to use this, makeshift this into a sort of a light so people could see me biking. And it's just nice having a flashlight, and then some pens, some mosquito repellent. Yeah. So if you go to India, I would highly get something called Odomos, and it comes in a cream form, and it's like an insect repellent, and it's so great to use. And so that's that. And then what ended up being, in terms of food, this was the other bag that I ended up taking with me. So I had my main suitcase, my day bag, and then this was like, ended up being like what I would carry, a lot of like food or miscellaneous things as well. So I would, have food in here. And so this served as something I would carry in my hand, and then it just was a way to organize all of my stuff. So that is it. Okay. Yes. I hope that this was helpful. Oh my goodness. I'm like looking at all my stuff, and it's like it's been with me for the past few months, and it's really nice to be able to unpack, put things away, and I hope you have a great trip.